Vanakkam, and thank you very much. Professor Krishnamurthy, Madam Sunita Reddy, Sri Vellayan, Sri Raju Venkatraman, Sri Krishnan and Madam Sarala Krishnan, Dr. Amaraghu, Madam Gayatri, and all the dignitaries here. I am indeed privileged to be here this evening with you all. Brain and the mind together. As rightly said, brain is an extremely complicated organ. And what about the mind? As Dr. Krishnamurthy said, we do not even know the location of the mind. Indian philosophy calls the mind an antakarana, meaning it's an inner instrument. And it is this mind which has made each one of us a human being. Man, a Manushyan is because he has a man. The English word human being is supposed to have derived from the Greek Latin root homo. However, if you trace the root of the word homo itself, it's supposed to be from the old Norse word hugman. And it is said hugman, the man part of hugman is related to the mind. So ultimately it's all one cycle where you find the human being is a manifestation of what the mind is or what the mind thinks. And that is what I believe Dr. Krishnamurthy referred to by saying the mind applies the software to the human brain. Putting the brain and the mind together, two complexities together, two complexities of which we have no complete knowledge. The only human being until now who is supposed to have used 2% of his brain was Albert Einstein, meaning the rest of us do not even use 2% of our brains. And combining all this with ancient wisdom, rehabilitation, please accept my congratulations, Dr. Krishnamurthy, for thinking of a one-roof solution for multiple problems. Dr. Krishnamurthy was referring to the post-COVID situation. I think the post-COVID situation requires not mere rehabilitation from the treatment point of view, but then a social rehabilitation too. One of the key issues of long COVID is a brain fog. The simplest complication of long COVID is the brain fog. And who requires rehabilitation when someone is diagnosed with brain fog? Let's imagine a situation, somebody comes with a brain fog. Let's imagine, hypothetically, it's one of our own assistants at the office. At the office, the boss is tired, the boss is disgusted because he or she is not able to relegate responsibility to this individual who was perfectly normal pre-COVID, but then post-COVID has become a dunce. And the boss will not be unjustified if he or she decides to fire that person. But then look at it from the other perspective. What happens to that individual? And that is where rehabilitation plainly not from the treatment perspective, but then rehabilitation from the social perspective becomes important. I'm touching about post-COVID not because it's recent or because it's topical. Given the situation, the sequelae of the pandemic, though we today think the pandemic is gone and most of us have forgotten our masks, but the sequelae of the pandemic, the real sequelae of the pandemic is likely to remain at least for the next 3 to 4 decades. And that is when this rehabilitation will become extremely important. More and more of neuropsychiatric issues and rehabilitation to those people who come with these issues. Standing here today, I'm reminded of a small book by the renowned Tamil writer Jayakanthan. I would just say the title of the book. The title of the book read, Silar Ulle Irikirargal. And the book was on inmates of the so-called mental asylum. He just said, Silar Ulle Irikirargal. The implication is, Palar Veliye Irikirargal. And it is not for the mental disorder part of it. It is for any neuropsychiatric ailment. It is for any neuropsychiatric ailment, and I think that is where a one-roof solution like the Buddhi Clinic becomes important. Buddhi is again a term which Indian philosophy refers to very often. Lord Yama talks to Nachiketas, saying it should be your buddhi which should ride your chariot of life. Nachiketa, please remember your charioteer should be your buddhi. And rest of Indian philosophy talks about buddhi as that instrument which presides over the mind itself. Buddhi dictates the mind. And I think that's what Buddhi Clinic also means. Buddhi Clinic will dictate the brain and the mind and put them on the right path. Yet another area which I think Dr. Krishnamurthy has been immensely contributing to is the kind of research and the kind of publications which come from this institution. Brain and mind require a lot of research. Research which need not be core research, but then research which is based on clinical material, clinical work, and observation. I sincerely believe the publications which have come from the Buddhi Clinic were based on the kind of clinical experience that people here have had. Dr. Krishnamurthy, I would only request you to come up with more publications. Yes, Buddhi Clinic is catering to several people. However, all your experience will have to be translated into publication, which will go a long way, not only in helping people of the current generation, but then people of prospective and forthcoming generations. I'm happy that Buddhi Clinic has moved into a new premises, probably a slightly larger and more visible premises. And I wish Buddhi Clinic grows more and more. Probably the next time you have a program here, let's have 5 more floors where we can climb up and you know, we ascend up. It's not mere physical ascent, but then intellectual ascent. With that, I once again thank you for providing me with a wonderful opportunity to be here this evening, wishing Buddhi Clinic and all its components and all the 5 pillars more and more and more growth. Thank you very much and all the best.
Thank you, ma'am, for your